Our reporters Michael Appel and Lirandzu Themba are in Mahikeng for us this morning. They're monitoring the situation all over the province. Michael, let's start with you. We saw violence overnight. We saw buildings going up in flames. What's the situation right now?
It's quietened down this morning, Shahan, but that's due in part to a massive police presence that has sort of engulfed the city of Mahikeng, the provincial capital here. And yesterday, while we thought that the police weren't really coming out in their numbers in certain areas, they are in every corner of Mahikeng today in the outlying areas. And we've been driving around for the last couple of hours and just tracking where the police are, and they're busy with a mop-up operation to try and get the streets open. There's massive pieces of concrete that have been strewn across the road, blocking off many roads. So they've got graders in that are busy pushing that concrete off the road, and they're busy removing some of the burning and smoldering logs off the road. So very high visibility by the police here today, trying to stop people gathering in groups. So it seems that some semblance of calm has descended on Mahikeng today. But as we saw last night, with darkness brings the looters, and that is widespread looting that we witnessed last night.
All right, let's move to the other side of the town. Lirandzu Themba is there standing by. Lirandzu, similar situation where you are?
Yes, the darkness that Michael is alluding to is this is the result really of the ongoing battles between police as well as the protesters that we did see last night. And of course, we do know that the arts industry has taken a knock here in Mabatu, where we know that the popular cultural center has been torched. I am standing just behind this cultural center. I'll just step aside so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is a container, but also a bus as well as cars that were torched by protesters here, not only in this arts center, but also several cars that we've seen around the Mabatu area have also been torched by protesters. Police have confirmed that 23 people have been arrested, Shahan, but more so, they've also said that the protesters also tried to target departmental buildings. The Department of Public Works and the Department of Education were targeted, where they did see that the burning down of guard houses as well as cars in those two departments. And we do know that police had their hands full, really just using rubber bullets as well as stun grenades to try and keep a lid on these very violent protests that have somehow turned criminal.
Michael, it is safe to say that Mahikeng is going up in flames. Lirandzu still has flames behind her where she is. A short while ago, we saw those flames. So what exactly, apart from the discontent about service delivery, which we keep on hearing, are residents saying about their exact unhappiness? What services do they want provided?
Well, I think it's a combination of proper healthcare, education. To get refuse removal is a basic service that should be in place in a city like this. It's the provincial capital, and the streets, even before the protest started when I was here on Tuesday, the streets were littered with rubbish, with refuse. So I think the clinics are one thing. We know that extended 2-month go-slow by Nahawu has resulted in medicines not getting out to the clinics, and the hospitals have asked for the intervention of the National Health Department. And I know that pharmaceutical company Appel is somehow got a cooperative agreement going where they are delivering directly to hospitals now, instead of going to the provincial depot where there is this go-slow on at the moment. But people just want things to work. It's as simple as street lights working. You drive around Mahikeng at night. Some of the videos I took at night at a shopping center, you can't see anything because there's no lights that work anywhere. And that's not as a result of this protest. So people have said that it's basic service delivery is what they want, and the figurehead of that and the frustration and the focus of their frustration at the moment, the man that they hold responsible for this is Supra Mahumapelo, the Premier, and their demand is clear: Supra must go.
Lirandzu, of course, when we see service delivery protests, we often get a criminal element to this. Looting is rife in Mahikeng, isn't it?
Yes, we did see just last night as well a bottle store that was looted. Speaking to the owner there, Shahan, he was talking about how he is not feeling safe. He was threatened with violence. Protesters were threatening his life, saying that they will not only burn him but also burn down the shop that was looted. He was bouncing around a figure of about 200,000 rand that he seems or thinks that he could have lost with those lootings. But that's not the only shop. We've also seen several shops that were looted. But what is quite worrying and what is quite of concern is that even though the protesters are citing genuine grievances with regards to service delivery, a lot of attempts have been made to loot the local Pick n Pay, suggesting that people also just want to take away certain things like food, like diapers, like things that they would need on an everyday. But of course, police are on standby and are on hand to make sure that doesn't happen. But we do know that several tuck shops in the townships have been looted, and these tuck shops do belong to foreign nationals.
Well, let's talk about police, Michael. I saw you a tweet last night when you got there about just how tense the situation was. Do you feel safe in the streets of Mahikeng at night? Do you need to see more police officers?
Well, as we speak, a massive convoy of police officers have just driven in. I think they're certainly beefing up the numbers in anticipation of the president's visit, firstly, and of what resistance they encountered last night. They were running battles, I think, well into the early hours of the morning. From the guest house we were staying in, we could still hear the shouts and the chants of people, stun grenades and rubber bullets being fired not too far from us. So I think the police, learning from what they experienced last night, have certainly beefed up the numbers here. But if you're on the streets at night, you certainly are not safe. That's the reality here. So you try to stay close to any blue lights, anybody in a uniform that you can find. But as I alluded to earlier, there's no lighting, so you can't really walk through the streets at all. You can't see anything at all. So I think after this midday meeting between the ANC caucus, the Premier, the alliance partners, and importantly the President, who cut short his visit to London to fly back, just giving an indication of how seriously the ANC and government at large is taking this. I think there may potentially, depending on what the message is that comes out from the President, whether or not there's going to be a big announcement about the future of the Premier, maybe the mood will change.
Lirandzu, let's talk about the Premier a bit more. Of course, we know the President is going there to intervene. The question is whether or not he's going to heed that call from residents to remove Supra Mahumapelo. Do we know what he's saying so far? He has spoken to some media organizations, I see.
We do know that the Premier has come out suggesting that there is a campaign to oust him purely because he was at some point supporting the NDZ. We do know that the Premier also says that his budget, 70% of his budget, is really towards the enrichment and the development of villages as well as townships. And these, of course, the protesters that we are seeing coming out on the streets are from those same villages, and they're the ones that are telling us that they do not enjoy the services that they deserve. As Michael has alluded, the services, the health services have been crippled. People are complaining about basic things like street lights and how the roads, the conditions of the roads and so forth. But the Premier has come out saying that he is embarking on a program of radical change, radical economic transformation, and he believes that these protests are really just to derail his plans to better the province. But we know that he has been at the helm since 2014, and residents on the ground are not convinced. They believe that 4 years is more than enough, and they believe he should give somebody else a chance to give them the services that they deserve.
All right, great reporting. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. ENCA reporters Michael Appel and Lirandzu Themba are live to us in Mahikeng.